Now to our top stories. A weakened Republican Party passes a budget with very little to praise. The feds decide to taper QE3, and the biggest story of 2013 has to be the government's takeover of the nation's health care, dubbed Obamacare. Joining us as always is the Desert Sun's global economist and our own Maury Beschloss. Maury, you'd have to say, closing out 2013, there wasn't a bigger story than the Obamacare rollout, the disaster it's become, and the effects it's had on the nation. I don't think anyone expected it to be this bad, especially the administration.
With all the bad things, we talk about the National Security Agency, you talk about Benghazi, you talk about an absolutely hideous foreign policy that keeps getting worse week by week. Obamacare is so bad, and it's that they keep changing it. It's unconstitutional even to change something that's already been passed, but with the man in the White House, that doesn't make any difference.
But don't you think that there's no opposition because there are actually things that are helping the American people, and the Republicans, as bad as they are, don't want to get in the way of that?
I think that they should have done this with everything. If you recall, I was the one that said to you, and you agreed, defunding would have been the worst mistake that the Republicans could make, because then you would never know how bad this was. I said, let it come out. It's a disaster. I've talked to enough doctors, you have, and I have not found one doctor who doesn't say that this is going to crush and disintegrate the American health system. Would have been nothing wrong with saying, okay, let's do something about pre-existing conditions. You know, it's something.
In and of itself.
Yeah, yes, there are certain. Look, first of all, the reason that Obama and his sidekick Rahm Emanuel came up with it, because Rahm Emanuel said, never let an opportunity go by. And this was a great opportunity to do something that Lyndon Johnson couldn't do, that Bill Clinton couldn't do, but Franklin D. Roosevelt couldn't do. And here comes Obama, and he's got a ready-made $1 trillion that the Democrat Senate and House passed within 1 month after he came into office. So the stage was set. He didn't care about unemployment. He didn't care about infrastructure development. He didn't care about 100 things that could have been done that could have put us back into business the right way. He wanted to jam this Obamacare right down the throat of the American people, and it's gagging them today. And I hope that the American people are finally learning a lesson, what this man has gone, what length he has gone to absolutely disrupt this country. You know why our economy is getting better? Because of the greatness of America. It's like Gulliver. You know, Gulliver among the pygmies, the Lilliputians. You see that picture of Gulliver, the giants, and he's all tied up with a bunch of ropes and so on, but somehow he just musters his strength, and he pushes and pushes, and he frees himself. I think we're kind of coming into that situation now, because I think there are enough American people, the independent, the entrepreneurial drive of the American people will rise above everything else.
Okay, so how do you get out of the Obamacare nightmare at this point?
I think this thing will just fester like a disease.
But how do you get out of it? How do you repeal it? How do you remove it? How do you take it out of existence? Or don't you?
You don't. You don't. But you can't. You won't. He won't let it go. I mean, as long as Obama is in office, as long as he's president of the United States, he will not let it go. He changed, like we're sitting here today, he changed the date again for the third time of how you can get into it.
And isn't it interesting that all the things that he's changed, the individual mandate, the business mandate, are all things that the Republicans were fighting for way back when, trying to warn the American people. Now he's actually doing all of those things. But how is this going to improve the law?
Well, he in his mind, I can't read his mind, but I know the type, and I think in his mind, the single payer is what he's after. He feels by, I would even say there's a certain amount of intrigue in the way he's doing things. Let the thing fall apart, and then all
There's only one answer.
You know, I always thought it was a wrong thing that insurance could not be sold across state lines. I thought it was wrong that they couldn't work out something for poor kids, who had either cancer or they had diabetes, and you couldn't get an insurance. There were things wrong about it. And the so-called 30 million that couldn't get insurance or whatever, you don't crucify 320 million people in order to rectify the problems of 30 million.
Throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, in the worst possible way. But that was not his objective. He could care less about that.
Well, he's on
healthcare.
record, even before he was elected, saying our goal is to get to single payer,
Yes.
but it's going to take us a while.
Well,
Because
not
the
only
American
take
people
it-
won't stomach it right out of the box.
And also, he wanted to just wear down the American people, so they'd say, well, maybe the Canadian and the United Kingdom or the German way is a good way to give everybody the minimal amount. Take it from the people who can afford to do and go to good doctors and good hospitals and make them go. Not him or Congress or people who are the privileged ones. They would still have the best. You know what the situation is with his family? He has grandiloquently signed up for some sort of a special deal.
Yeah, the bronze plan. It's all
The
symbolic.
bronze plan, exactly. But you know who takes care of them? The military. He gets his insurance from the military.
For life.
For life.
Yeah. So they spent $600 million on this website, just the website, not even the promotions or the regulations that go into it or whatever. They could have given every American citizen $2 million each in a health savings account and would have taken care of everything. But that's not their goal. So explain what single payer actually is, because I don't think a lot of people know what that really means. And I have some friends that think that's a good idea.
Well, single payer means finally everybody gets
Medicaid.
Medicaid run wild. I mean, everybody gets Medicaid. Just like, in a way, Medicare, as far as it's gone, like the drug program, which makes a lot of common commercial drugs available to just about everybody over the age of 65. The guys like Lyndon Johnson and even George W. Bush, who pushed through the drug plan, were kind of nibbling at doing things that Obama is trying to do in one fell swoop. But he's going to outsmart himself. You see, he really feels that I'm going to have to go through a lot of criticism and do a lot of things that'll make me uneasy, but I'll still wind up at the end and I'll have my Obamacare health plan. He wants his name on it. Listen, if he thought there was something that that this thing wasn't going to go through, he would not allow Obamacare to be called what it is. He would call it the Affordable Health Care, which was done so he could pull away. But he wants to be identified with this, as his great legacy 100 years from now will be the fact that he gave health care of the most primitive and minimal source to, by then, maybe 400 or 500 million people.
I have some people that are telling me that it's a good thing that you're losing your health insurance because your plan was not a good plan. And that's like saying that my car doesn't meet your standards or my house doesn't live up to what you would live in.
Unfortunately, we're having, I'm happy now to see as we speak today that 62% of the American people want to get rid of this. I mean, that's really, 51 was half and half. Now, it's the more that this situation becomes, more people become aware, more and more people are
But we're
against
not
it.
getting rid of it. Don't they
I know
understand
we
that?
won't get. I'm telling you, as long as Obama is in the White House as president, he won't allow that. And unfortunately, you see, we never thought in our lifetime, I'm a little older than you, but if you'd asked me 20, 30, 40 years ago, do you think there'll ever be a time when there will be a president who will just laugh at the Constitution? The thing that has made America great, the only real democracy in the history of the world has been the United States of America, because even the average person, the immigrant, the most lowly, the poorest person as well as the richest, still realizes that our Constitution came from the Declaration of Independence, and we nailed down exactly how we wanted to see this country run. And some presidents have bent somewhat, but they have never tried to destroy the American Constitution the way this man has.
And shouldn't he be the greatest single example of the opportunity of America by himself and where he's gotten to?
No, it should be a greatest example of how a Hitlerian type of would-be dictator can take over.
But anybody can get anywhere in this country at this point. I mean, unqualified as he was, still rose to become the president of the United States.
Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah, the very fact it's an ironic statement that you're making, that the fact that we have no immunity. This country has no immunity against people like Obama. What do I mean by that? You know, when the Spaniards came over here, they didn't conquer Mexico, what became Mexico, South America, whatever, by the force of their weapons. They killed all the opposition by diseases that they carried with them. So the thing is, the Mayans and the Aztecs had no immunity to these diseases. We Americans have had no immunity to the type of governmental approach that
totalitarianism.
Well, it's even worse than that. It's a kind of a thugs that he has around him. You know, I watch, you know, I'm still very much entranced by what happened with the Hitler period, and I read everything, and I still think there's something very occult by it, but that's another point. The point I'm getting at is that look at the kind of people he's got around him. He's got vicious people. Best example of the latest character they brought in is John Podesta. John Podesta is a dangerous man, a very, very dangerous man.
From the Center for American Progress.
Yes, yeah. This guy is out now to shove this climate control right up the teeth. He doesn't care about anything.
And to expand executive order to rule by fiat.
That's why he's brought him in. He didn't come in at first because he figured he could do more with the Center for American Progress. I'm telling you, this man will be dangerous. He'll be to Obama what Joseph Goebbels or Goering was to Adolf Hitler. That's the kind of guy
he's cut right from the George Soros family cloth.
Oh my God, there's no question of it. But he's the kind of guy who will not stop at nothing to enforce a power. That I think the reason that Obama is calling him is because he's desperate for a guy like this.
Oh, absolutely.
A hatchet man. That's what he is.
Absolutely. Take off the gloves. Do whatever it takes.
That's right.
Shove it down the American people's throats, and they're going to like it.
Especially now that the 11th hour of his regime is here now, because if this Obamacare keeps going the way it has, it'll strangle him. He'll I don't know what'll happen.
Well, they're going to change that up with illegal immigration in the next year. You watch. We need to step aside for a brief moment. We'll return with more economic news, our global outlook, political insider, and the history segments are all straight ahead. If you want to watch the show again or catch any of our segments, just log on to our website, theworldreport.org, and remember to like us or leave comments or recommendations. We'll be right back.